Hey, sisters, how's it going? Today I want to talk about something that I find a little bit cringe. And that's, online we've all seen those conspiracy theories, Freemasons, secret societies, evil Satan worshippers who, who, I don't know, like drink blood and step on baby heads or something. We've all seen or been recommended to watch, I don't know, like 5 hour long YouTube videos where it's just a collage of celebrities with like hands over their eyes and be like, see, it's all connected, man. But I've always found that really cringe because the problem with Freemasonry and conspiracy theories is it seems that there is what I like to call conspiracy theory interruption, where 2 points of a conspiracy theory, I know, intersect, and it ceases to make sense. Or like, as in like, like, oh, the church hates the Masons, and yet the Pope is somehow a Freemason, or Freemasons, they control America, they ruined America. But so America's good then, or was at least at one point in time a good person or a good country, but it was founded by Freemasons. Oh, Russian communism. You can see the hammer and sickle are Masonic symbols or something, and it's like, well, the Tsar Nicholas was also a Mason. In fact, he was connected to high-level Martinist schools and all of that. It's like, when it doesn't really make sense. Like, historically, at one point in time, in some countries, 1 in 6 men were Freemasons. Like, just think about that for a second. 1 in 6 men. So when you see like lists of like, oh, these people in politics were Masons, as if that is of any significance. Plot twist, it's not. It has no significance whatsoever. And so it's a problem. It's a problem. A lot of people spread, I don't know, there's a difference between misinformation and disinformation. It's not like an outright lie, but they are misled and they mix truth with retardation, and it perpetuates. So instead of doing a debunking video, I thought I'd basically just apply or give you my theory on what the Freemasons are and what they could be used for. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to start off completely schizo. Like, what's your source? But my source is that I made it up. It's intuition. So Dion Fortune, the female Rosicrucian, she has in one of her unpublished works, she's talking about Atlantis in one of her unpublished works. And she starts talking about the culture of Atlantis being hierarchical. So, you have the peasants, and you have artisans, and then warriors, and then the priestly caste. But there was also kind of, what do you call it, secret groups, or it almost seems like each class had their own religion, like the peasants worshipped nature, and the warriors did ancestor worship, and the priests, had some abstract kind of philosophy. But the builders had their own secrets, their own mysteries. Each class had their own mysteries. And she basically seemed to say that the Freemasons are descendants of this. So when we look at Freemasons, they say, what's the origin? Or it's Solomon's Temple, the builders of Solomon's Temple, or they come from Egypt or something. Well, it's like this one I like because it's just so schizo. It pushes it back even into prehistory. Like Freemasonry, boom, Atlantis. Like that's how old they are. But it doesn't just stop there. My schizo theory continues because, they say, the builders or the Atlanteans, the builder section of Atlantis, they're the ones who perpetuate and gave the Masons their mysteries. Well, I'll go a step further and I say, I think there are other survivors of Atlantis. The mysteries of Atlantis continued in other places. And one of those ones, and this is just my theory, is to do with the Scythians, the historical Scythians. And this is just a pure intuition on my part, I honestly think they maybe they're not direct descendants, but they have maintained or received somehow the mysteries from the warrior caste of Atlantis. So they're connected to the mysteries of Atlantis, but just the warrior caste, not the priest caste, not the builders, just the warrior caste. Because the Scythians are quite mysterious. You kind of see artistic renditions, like pictures of them and stuff, but it doesn't really do them justice, their culture. Like you see, archaeological sites, the items, the ornaments that they would craft out of gold, so intricate, and you're like, how did, random barbarians who had no language, who just rode on horse, seemingly rode on horseback, make all of these intricate things? Like, surely there's something missing there. This is just my historical conspiracy. There's something missing and odd about the Scythians. They're around that Tartaria region. But the Scythians dispersed and were absorbed into many different cultures, one of which were the Persians. The Persians are interesting because, like the Atlanteans, they also had that hierarchical kind of structure. They had Zoroastrians, they had Mithraeans, and the priest caste had like Zurvanism, which is like they worship time, or like the god of time or something, which is maybe some of that has perpetuated as well. But the Persians, they then get these mysteries of the Scythians, and then it crosses from the Persians when Islam comes in, and then the lodges of the assassins, they have the mysteries. And then from the assassins, the Knights Templar come from the west, and what do we have then? Then the Knights Templar learn the mysteries, and they bring them back from the east into the west. So from Atlantis, which was originally in the west, it goes into the east and then returns. It's this very interesting thing, because the Knights Templar are then absorbed at one point into Freemasonry. So Freemasonry as it was maybe just a Masons Guild, and then it's absorbed both those two lines, the line of the builders and the line of the warriors. And there's some interesting connection with the Templars and the Grail mysteries and things like that. And there's one book, it's called like From Scythia to Camelot, where the main thesis is like the Grail myth has its origin in ancient Persia or Scythia. Very interestingly enough, like it's a very interesting hypothesis or theory. But nonetheless, so Freemasonry is a synthesis. And it's not just a synthesis of those two things, it also picks things up as it goes. Christianity, Kabbalah, the Egyptian mysteries, the Pythagorean mysteries, Mithraism, Zoroastrianism, all of these things are present in Freemasonry. And just as like an outsider looking in, like when you look at the symbols that they have, when you look at their aprons, or when you look at their little like medals, like even some of them, like I've seen some pictures, in one picture there was like a medal that they had, and it had like, for those who don't know, you don't know, but like it had the four-letter word in kind of like a cross, and then right in the middle they had the letter Shin, which kind of is that Christian Kabbalah Johann Reuchlin style. Like I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I could see what you're doing there. But I don't even know if the guy wearing, the people who wear those medals even understand what they're wearing. But nonetheless, it's interesting, what are the Freemasons? The truest thing that I ever heard anyone say about Freemasons is what Graham Hancock said. The Freemasons are custodians of symbols and rituals that they have forgotten the meaning to. And that's really what they are. Because you can say it's like this. There are two types of secret society. There is the secret society that's founded by men or women who attain some level of development, like they awaken, they become adepts, initiates, supermen, and they look around at the world and they say, I'm going to help as many people as I can, but I have to write down these teachings or inscribe these teachings somehow and have it perpetuate through time. And this is very hard to do via language. Because language, even if it stays the same language drifts. Like, how hard is it to read Shakespeare nowadays? He's supposedly speaking English, but it's tough. And so one way you can do that is to embed your mysteries in symbols so that it perpetuates mimetically through time. So that's what I see Freemasons are. Freemasons are the keepers of memes. And they keep these esoteric memes. And these memes are arcanums. They're not, a symbol is not a sign. A sign like, a stop sign just means one thing. It means stop. It doesn't mean anything else. A symbol has multiple avenues. It has multiple things that you can draw from it. There's like some old koan Sufi story where like a master kind of gives his students like a story, like a koan, and tells them to go and meditate on it and then come and give him the answers. And then one the students come back and one, says, oh, this is the meaning of the story. And he says, yes, that is correct. And then the next one comes and he says something completely different. And the master's like, yes, that is correct. And then the next person comes and says what they say, and then it's completely different again. And he says, yes, that's correct. And then one of the high-level students is like, wait, why are you saying they're all correct? And the master says, well, look at this cup that I have, this glass cup of tea. If this cup could only hold tea, or only hold milk, or only hold water, it would be a bad cup. A bad cup. And so that's what a good symbol is a vessel. Symbols, it's not that we apply, or there, once again, signs, we apply meaning to them. Symbols, really esoteric symbols, it's not the symbol, it's there's something behind the symbol that wants to speak to us, and that's why we meditate on them, reflect on them. We try to absorb ourselves in them and saturate ourselves with those symbols, and those symbols awaken certain things within the layers of our consciousness. That's what this ritual and this symbology is trying to achieve within us. So we have this synthesis, we have this Freemason synthesis. So what happens in history with Freemasonry? There's a golden age of Freemasonry, like I said, like 1 in 6 men. In some countries, 1 in 6 men are Freemasons. Like, it's massive. And hence why it's always like, when you see those 5-hour-long YouTube videos and they're just like, this person from history was a Freemason. Like, that's meaningless. It's meaningless. It's like saying, like, yeah, see this random guy in the street, he has a forklift license. Like, there's absolutely, it doesn't mean anything. If this aristocrat was a Freemason, yeah, they all were. Everyone was. It doesn't mean anything. So there was this golden age of Freemasonry. And what kind of happens? Well, when that happens, you can't have kind of everybody, even though everyone's supposedly equal, you can't have everybody doing all the mysteries at once. So it pushes the mysteries into kind of these side orders or these fringe orders, the 33 degrees instead of just the 3, or the York Rite, or this Rite, or the Rosicrucians, or the Illuminati. And you could say, and that's the other side. So there's societies that perpetuate esoteric memes, and then there's the other society that's in it for political manipulation. And look, let's go through a type of reasoning here. If you are someone who wants to manipulate politics, what's one thing you don't want? You don't want people to know what you're doing. You want to be as secret as possible. In other words, you want to have, if you have a group, you don't even want, if you're successful, history isn't even supposed to remember the name of your group. Like the Illuminati are failures. That's what they are. They're failures. If you wanted to do that, you would have a group and you would just call it something like the Order, or you wouldn't even have a name, the group or something. And then what you would do is you would mass join another order, another group which has connections. And through there, you would use that group like a glove to achieve your aims in history. And that's why I think Freemasonry has kind of become a punching bag over time, because, there's their presence in the Italian Revolution and the French Revolution. And yeah, once again, French Revolution, yeah, there were Freemasons and the revolutionaries, and also a bunch of the aristocrats were also Freemasons. Anyway. If anyone, whenever you watch those videos, whenever I watch one of those videos, or I'm talking to someone and they just start talking about Freemasons, it's immediately a red herring. Immediately I become unimpressed and disappointed with what they have to say. Like, oh, here's the beaker, and you're just on a shallow level. Like, okay, you're still talking about Masons? Bruh. So, once again, going back, Golden Age of Freemasonry pushes to fringe groups, and what do you have these fringe groups? They're more exclusive. So you have things like the Rosicrucians, and they would treat mainline Freemasonry as like a kindergarten. So they'd look into Freemasonry and say, oh, this guy's good, maybe we can initiate him, maybe take him out, and other orders would do that, i.e. the Illuminati would try and recruit people who were of significance to them in that sense. In fact, there's like, apparently there were like pamphlets published by the Rosicrucians like against the Illuminati. Like they hated it. Those two groups like hated each other. Like the Rosicrucians and the White Lodge and the Black Lodge at the same time were trying to recruit Freemasons. It's something interesting because that's one thing from a modern perspective. That's one thing that the Freemasons have. You know, modern Rosicrucian schools definitely do not have the lineage that they wish they did. Freemasonry is the one with the biggest claim. Like, they go back the furthest, and even if you take their mythical histories, you know, Solomon's Temple, Egypt, hypothetically, Atlantis and prehistory, there's something interesting in that, because you think of the idea of initiation, like when someone's standing in front of you and they're initiating you, they're doing like their chants or whatever. I don't know what it's like. And if you're standing there and you're looking into their eyes, you come to realize something. You come to realize that that person who's initiating you, at one point they were in your position. They were in your position and someone was speaking to them. And that person was also once in your position and someone was speaking to them. And then and again and again and again, all the way back into prehistory. This great chain of initiation, all the way back to who? To the founder, to the original Superman, the original adept, the original initiate that was awake, is speaking to you through those rituals, through those symbols. And they're trying to get you to wake up, to develop, to seek the divine, whatever it is. So there's something to that, I don't know, in a modern occult sense. Like, a lot of people are going the path of self-initiation, but if lineage is something important to you, that may be something that you could seek. As in, you know, they may not teach you what they have to offer because they don't even know what it is anymore. But if they are proper custodians of those memes, then potentially if you have developed within yourself some level, then it is possible that you go in and you could perhaps reconstruct and recontextualize and use those for your own enrichment, your own development. There's a really good book called The Path of Freemasonry by Mark Stavish. I really recommend it. Maybe I'll put a link in the description. Because he's basically someone who was an occultist and like went through the degrees of Freemasonry and was like, yep, there's definitely magic in here. And he basically just kind of lays it out. And like, I read that book and I was like, damn, no wonder the Freemasons got mad at this guy, because he's kind of just given it all away. He doesn't describe the rituals, but he goes through like a bunch of the symbols and just like, yeah, this means that. And I was like, oh, okay. It's very interesting. It's the path of Freemasonry. But anyway, so this has just been my opinion. And if you haven't been convinced because you've seen like multiple 5-hour documentaries on how Freemasons are evil, look, there are so many podcasts with Freemasons. There are so many YouTube channels run by Freemason lodges. There are so many Facebook, and like, go on the Facebook page, type Freemasonry, and then like click join. And it's going to be a private group, and you'll just immediately be added to the group because they're old people and they don't know how to use the internet. And you can just see them talking. It's the people who have this idea that the Freemasons are some super evil, baby munching, satanic ritual people. That idea is so easily disproven that it's not even like worth the time to like go through and debunk everything that you think. It's like literally just go onto Facebook and just look at the old men talking in the frickin' chat room already. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I don't even know. Did I even have a point to this video? And did I say everything? Anyway, that was my schizo theory and history of how Freemasonry is from Atlantis, and it potentially has some fragments of the primordial tradition. But yeah, tell me what you think about that.